everybody, I'm back! Anyway, this week we are making earrings inspired by Garnet from Steven Universe, a cartoon show that I absolutely love, and I love Garnet. I think she's the best parent, and so we're making a pair of earrings inspired by the duality of her nature and her strong, motherly, badass fists. Anyway, for this week, here's what you need. Industrial strength glue, rubbing alcohol, and Q-tips, a razor blade or clay blade, 18 gauge wire, a clay roller, pass machine, heck, a wine bottle will work, Mod Podge or glaze, a paintbrush, needle nose pliers and wire cutters, earring findings, I like the leverback kind, a straw, pink, red, and dark red alcohol-based markers, small cookie cutters if you have them, scrapbook style bezels, souffle or lightweight polymer clay in Garnet's colors. First things first, we gotta get Garnet's Gauntlet's color down, which is a dark kind of winey red. I just combined some red with a little bit of black, a little bit of brown, and a little bit of pink, but just kind of keep playing with it until it looks like the right color to you. Once you got the color you like, make a thick rectangle that's tall enough that it's going to be the entire length of the glove or just about, but long enough that you can fit 2 of your cookie cutter on it. If you don't have a cookie cutter, you're going to do something different and make a sausage instead. But if you have a circle cookie cutter about the right size, use that, it can make it a lot easier. Once you have that down, just cut out 2 circles of the same size. To get the shape out of the cookie cutter, I strongly recommend cutting it out and then throwing it in the freezer for a little bit and then blowing the shape out finally. Now, if your shape is weird or misformed, go ahead and give it a trim and roll it around until the shape is how you like it. If you're making the gauntlets without a cookie cutter, just make a very thick sausage and then cut it the length that you want the glove to be. Garnet has 2 stars on her gauntlet, one on the bottom and one on her knuckles, and the one on the bottom is about the same size as the gauntlet, so keep that in mind when making this part. For the stars color, add a little bit of gold to some yellow. As I said earlier, each gauntlet has 2 stars. The one on the knuckles is going to be punched out of a very thick sheet of clay, while the one on the bottom should be punched out of a very thin sheet of clay. If you don't have a star cookie cutter, you can do the same thing by printing out a template of the right size and cutting around it with a razor blade. Then gently pick up the thin star and place it on the bottom of each gauntlet. Once you've got that done, it's onto the fingers, which are a little tricky because they are black at the base and black at the end and red in the middle, and they form a fist. It's going to be a little weird. So the first thing is to form a fairly thick snake that's going to be the width of the fingers and cut out 8 pieces that are all the same size, and then cut out 1 more for the thumb. Then, keeping in mind that you want one of the points of the bottom star to go down the middle of 4 of the fingers, start placing 4 on one side of the gauntlet, all close together and kind of squished, and then 4 on the other side of the gauntlet. Then start squishing the 2 sides of the gauntlet together so that the 4 fingers almost touch. Squish the sides in so that you don't have too much palm spillage and kind of roll it around so that it keeps its shape. Then make a red snake the same width as the black and cut out 5 pieces all the same size. Then carefully take one of the red pieces and form it into a U as best you can. Form it into a U and then match up the 2 ends to either side of the black pieces on the gauntlet and kind of squish them on. It sounds weird, but it does actually work. Do this for all 4 fingers. Then you're kind of going to squish it together and flatten it down a little bit so that it gets a nice, good shape. Now take a straw and use your teeth to crease down 2 sides so that it forms more of a cube shape than a circle. You will probably need your teeth, it helps a lot. Then make a pretty thick sheet of pink clay, I didn't even use a clay roller, and cut out probably about 6 cubes using your now straw cookie cutter. This is going to be kind of hard to get out. You're going to have to blow them pretty hard to get them to pop out of the straw. Once you've got 6 for each gauntlet, go ahead and throw them in a freezer for a bit. Alright, so our goal here is to make a diamond pyramid shape. I do this by first kind of vaguely marking the center with my blade very lightly, and then going from the center out, slanting down, slicing each time. And then do it 2 more times on either side, and you should get a pyramid-like shape. If you don't like the shape, feel free to trim it. Her gems on her knuckles are pretty tiny, so you do have some wiggle room here. Once you get a pyramid shape you like, go ahead and stick it on the gauntlet over the black part on whichever side you've decided is going to be the knuckles. Repeat for all 4 fingers. Once it looks like this, it's time for the thumb. Now cut out a red snake and a black snake and put them on top of each other and kind of roll them around so that they form one. Place the red on one side of the gauntlet, as you can see I have my other gauntlet to help me make two hands, and then kind of bend the thumb at a 90-degree angle so that it lays right under the other fingers. Then take the thick star you cut out earlier and place it on the gauntlet so that the two side points line up with the bottom of the knuckle gems. Press on very lightly. We do want this to be three-dimensional a bit. Take out your Q-tip and rubbing alcohol and clean up both of your gauntlets to the best of your ability. Make sure you don't blend the colors together, so for each color you're cleaning up, use a new clean Q-tip. Now we're going to make an eye pin for our gauntlet. Just take your needle nose pliers and your wire, form a loop, measure how long you want the wire to be, and clip it off at that point. Now check with your earring finding that the gloves are actually going to hang in the direction you want them to hang, like if you want the star forward or if you want the fist. Once you've figured it out and you like the way it faces, stick the eye pin in and then stick both gauntlets into the oven to bake. Once they're baked, go ahead and give them a couple coats of glaze. I like Mod Podge, but whatever glaze you most prefer is fine. Taking a piece of scrap paper and maybe a template if you have it, cut out a piece of paper that is going to fit nicely inside of your bezels. Just go ahead and trim it till it fits. Then carefully draw Garnet's gems. It's going to be a triangle on one and a square on the other, being careful to look at a picture as reference. Then color in your facets. Again, look at an image for reference, it helps a lot. Glue the paper to the inside of the bezel, I like using Mod Podge, and then cover it with even more Mod Podge. Now this is optional, but I took some nail polish and further covered the paper gems to give them a doming effect. I also knew that the alcohol markers were likely to bleed a bit, so I thought it would give them a glowing effect once they were dry. I think this effect looks awesome, but if you don't like it, don't do it. Now just glue the gems onto the earring findings, being wary to keep the triangle pointed up, as that's what looks accurate in my head, but it's honestly up to you. Then just leave them to dry somewhere. Last step, open up your earring findings and throw your polymer clay gauntlets onto the earrings. I hope you love these earrings as much as I do. I think they're super cute, and I hope to see you next week for a new geeky craft.